Hello there. My name's Mark, aka the Canardian, and you're listening to episode 24 of the Holocron Chronicles. I'm so happy to have my co-pilot back. Charlie was out last time, but you're back right now. How you doing, Charlie?
Yes. I was out drinking and carousing at a work party for my wife, and so that was definitely, it was fun, but it was not worth missing the show. So I'm glad to be back. Miss hanging out with my French, Canadian, Irish, Norwegian, Canadian brother.
Of course, yeah, we missed you, and I think you would have gotten along really well with Mike. You guys have some similar opinions, so we'll have to get Mike back. And,
yes, please.
And you guys can just ramble and leave me a little out. But this week,
great.
We are super happy. This has been a long time coming, and I'm like just grinning ear to ear right now. We have Peanut on the show. You might know her on Twitter as @ReySkyGoat, but we all know her as Peanut. Peanut, how you doing tonight?
Hello. Very happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm thrilled that we finally made this work. You're in the UK, I'm in Canada, Charlie's in the US. Somehow we made it work, and I appreciate you staying up so late to talk Star Wars with us.
It's an honor, honestly. I would stay up later than this for this amazing podcast.
Well, oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you very much.
Catching the vapors over here, my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get right into it, because I want to know a little bit more about your Star Wars origin story. Ooh. So tell us a little bit about, one, how you got into Star Wars.
It's a weird one, I'd say, actually, because it's not your traditional Star Wars journey. It's not one of those things where, you pass the baton on from your father or your mother. Right. Nothing like that, unfortunately. So I didn't really grow up with it, and I didn't really give it much attention, as a kid, as a teen, whatever it is. I'd like to think it was kind of like The Force Awakens, because I did not care for this franchise, movie, anything. I mean, everybody knows Star Wars, right? Everybody knows Darth Vader. You don't live under the rock, So that's a huge pop culture phenomenon. But it wasn't until around 2019 where I felt a little intrigued by it. It was a big franchise that I've never dipped my toes in, and I wasn't sure why. And so I slowly started to just look here and there. I have a best friend who's a huge Star Wars fan, by the way. So she's really been my Yoda in this whole journey, just guiding me through everything. And it wasn't until until I saw the Rise of Skywalker teaser trailer, and it's really special to me because it was that one moment where you see Rey, you see the TIE approaching Rey, and she just turns around. And that one turn, there was just so much to it. I turned to my mom. We were watching it in the cinemas or theaters, how you guys would say it. And I was like, "Yep, that's it. I'm coming back for this. I'm gonna be here opening night. I'm coming back." And that's kind of where it started. It's like a niche meet cute, but yeah, I'm just happy that's where it starts.
Like it. Niche meet cute. I have never heard it quite expressed in that fashion. So I will bring down Shizor to enjoy that with you. So there you go.
Love that.
Shizor is in the house.
That's awesome. So you were drawn in by that trailer. Had you seen all of the movies up until that point, or just kind of knew about it as a cultural reference? How did you go back and really get into it?
It was definitely like a cultural reference. I'd say I don't think there were many people in my family that really watched it. It's actually I had a few cousins, and growing up, I think he was a Star Wars fan, and my mum and my whole family, we would get lightsabers as toys on our birthdays or whatever. And I specifically have a memory of going to my cousin's house, and you have his windowsill, and there was like a little figure, and I thought it was a bin. Turns out it was R2-D2, which is amazing. Yeah. So that's a fun memory.
You know, that's a joke that just never goes old. In the little town where I live, by the grocery store we have in our little shopping district, there was for the longest time a regular mailbox, a regular rectangular United States looking kind of mailbox, painted as R2D2, and this was
Oh wow.
during one of the prequel films. So not quite the round, bin shape that you would expect, like a
Mhm.
UK bin that you would see out
Yeah.
there, but close enough to say, yeah, they got it. They definitely they know where they're going with that.
I love those memes. You'll see it pop up every now and then. And I saw one the other day that was a trash bin, very rounded top, and just rusty and dilapidated, and held up by two sticks. And it was
Mhm.
another movie star that is was susceptible to drugs and alcohol, kind of thing. As
Fell on hard
poor
Wow.
times, right?
RGB2. Yeah, it's great. But so after that, you knew the cultural reference. Did you go back and watch all the movies once you kind of decided to get into this? Like, what was
Yeah.
your entry point then?
So I gave it a go. I mean I was told there was a few ways to watch it. Chronological. Start with the originals, whatever it is. Do you incorporate Solo, Rogue One? So I wasn't quite sure, but then I had to pick one, and I decided to do it. Release order.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Mhm.
so the journey was a bit rocky at the start, as
Mhm.
it wasn't exactly love at first sight with A New Hope. um but then I really just got into it, and then I think I really had like a there was a real nostalgic feel to the original movies, which I liked. I always liked that with any kind of movie, having that level of comfort. But it wasn't until I watched the prequels where I really thought this is my type of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, weirdly enough, when I watched the sequels, I wasn't big, I wasn't really big on it. I wasn't a huge fan.
Hmm.
But over time, rewatched, learned a lot about it, and here we are, just representing all the Star Wars.
Excellent.
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
Excellent.
absolutely.
Well, we're happy that you're in the fandom. I for
Yes.
like I said before, anyone that doesn't follow you on Twitter is missing out, because the Ray Sky Goat, and you have a new one set up just for video edits. So tell us a little bit about that before we get into some more Star Wars goodies.
Yeah, so I've always been really into just my amateur sort of video editing, but I think I had an old Twitter account before this one. It was actually suspended because of a video edit, darn copyrights.
Hmm.
But I really got
Hate it.
into it. They're the worst, honestly. They just
I know. Somebody's trying
it's-
to make money or whatever, and it's just like, where's the beef?
exactly, like I'm editing over here. Come on, but seriously, you
Better get
know.
over here. You got it.
Honestly, it was a pain, but I decided to get it up and running again because I feel like people really appreciate it on Twitter, and it was nice. But I'm really enjoying like just like making edits again. But it's really
Excellent.
fun. Yeah.
You're amazingly good at it. I was watching,
Thank
I
you.
think the latest one just earlier today, and just your edits are so smooth and so quick,
Thank
and the
you.
way you put things together and lay things out, it's like, you must have it in your head like exactly what it has to look like, or because you'd spend years looking for the right clip at the right time. So like
Yeah.
I just watching how you progress things, or like how things go in the video, it's laid out so well, and
Hmm.
beat to beat, it's you're on just that next level of kind of like smoothness that I think people, if you want to get into making edits or doing videos and that kind of stuff, like, watch your stuff, because you'll learn.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's so nice. I mean, I'm blushing a little bit. That was a great compliment. Honestly.
We know why your camera's off now. Anyone watching the video version, we
Exactly.
have some
Now you
camera
know.
issues with Peanut, but
Now you
Right.
know.
you're, yeah, there we go. You can hide behind the no camera. Let's get back to
Lovely.
Star Wars for a second. Speaking of edits and stuff, what's your favorite full edited movie? What's your that's a weird way to
Ooh,
say that. What's your
yeah.
favorite Star Wars movie?
Ooh, see, it's one of those things where I can never be really sure. Okay, actually, do you know what? That's a lie. Actually, let's rewind that a bit. Yeah, I feel like I've come to a bit of a conclusion where I feel like my top four movies, let's just say, they're quite definitive. Like, I feel like it's number one is probably Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, if I had to pick, probably
Right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
It's just
And what
yeah.
I'm curious, what were the
Yeah.
other three that you had? Because you said definitive top four. Like, come on, we gotta go. So
Oh,
like,
it's so controversial, Mark. Honestly.
Oh
that's what I
yes, no.
love.
Well, that's what we're here to get into the grist,
Ooh,
into the
yeah.
bone. Let's get into the
It's
bone. It's
oh
okay.
gosh. Honestly, well, here's a slight warning for anyone that might just get a bit shocked. Well, it's actually next up is Rise of Skywalker. I think it's more so.
All right.
Thank you. See, wow, the crowd goes wild. Love that. Give it up for Rise of Skywalker. Honestly,
Oh my goodness.
it comes from more of a comforting place. I thought, I feel like I put Revenge of the Sith first because it's. I really like the storytelling in it. I think it's a great movie all around. Just like modern Shakespeare, that movie. Honestly, just pat yourself on the back, George Lucas. That's all I can say. But then it has to be Rise of Skywalker for me because it's the movie that really pulled me into Star Wars. I wouldn't really be here if it wasn't for that movie. When you think about it, when you pull it back, and then it's Empire Strikes Back and The Force Awakens. So it's a mix of
Oh,
everything.
awesome!
Yeah.
Awesome. Mix.
That's a spectacular. I would say way to kind of turn that on your ear from again a traditional fan. Now again, my story extremely briefly is that I was born in the late 1970s, a year before the original film came out. I was born in 1976. First film I ever recall seeing in the theater was my father and my brother and I seeing The Empire Strikes Back in 1980. So
Wow.
that is really, and then from there it was Raiders of the Lost Ark the next year because Han Solo's got a new job, so my mom took us to see that, and so from there, yes, I had this in playing with the action figures and losing them in the sand or whatever the playground. So I am a very traditionalist.
Sarlacc pit.
The Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Mark is a few years younger than me. Mark had the VHS experience, but it was after.
Wow.
After the cinematic release of the original film. So yeah, we've had the privilege in doing this show in the last. God, Mark, have we been doing this for
almost
a year now?
Almost.
Yeah,
Oh,
of
wow.
talking
Round of
to
applause.
a lot of very much younger fans that have these radically different perspectives on the films and what they mean to them. We got people who grew up in the prequel era. We talked to a guy a few weeks ago who is your countryman who's a big Toronto Raptors fan.
Oh, really?
Omar
had never seen a movie up until this summer.
Right,
Oh,
so he was
wow.
coming with and we recorded this in the summer. He was like, "Yeah, I watched like the first movie like a month ago or something." We were like, "What are you talking about?"
Put his episode off so he could watch them all because he was like,
Yeah.
"I'm doing a binge," because we did a Rocket League tournament together, and
Oh, wow.
we just got to talking about like podcasting and different things, and I was like, "Yeah, aside from video games, I like do this Star Wars thing." He's like, "I'm just starting those movies. I've never seen a single one," and I was like, "You gotta come on.
Wow.
Like that
Yeah,
has to happen." Like
That's
and
like the
he
one
had-
thing you never say to a Star Wars fan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
okay. You never say it's okay.
So we know your favorite movies and you have a great mix there. Do you have any favorite
you.
characters? Anyone that stands out above the rest?
I'm guessing
Ooh, any guesses?
could have something to do with an R-E to the Y?
Ooh,
Could be.
Maybe.
very close, very close.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
again, it's just like the movie. I think it's a mix of a well-written character. I mean, I think they're all well-written, but I think in terms of storyline, I'd say Anakin, who has such a brilliant woven story throughout all 6 movies, 9 movies, whatever anyone wants to say. Whether his arc continues after 6, but it's just so tragic and so beautiful at the same time, and it's so meant to be that he was this fallen Jedi turned Vader. I just thought it was so poetic, so amazing, and amazingly portrayed by Hayden Christensen, or in the Clone Wars, wherever. I just think a well-rounded character, just amazing. And then, of course, Rey, my beloved Daisy Ridley, British. What more can you say?
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's
my very close friend John, he was the other guy that started the Secret Friends with us back in college. He was our other college roommate. Has always been in love with Daisy Ridley. He says, "I'll just watch her, and I'll watch her read the phone book. I just don't care." And I'm like, "Okay, I feel it. I got you.
I can't argue with that. She's
I'd agree.
fantastic.
She's amazing.
So based on what you've said, I'm not 100% sure how you're going to go with this, but I think I know.
Okay.
Light side or dark side?
Ooh, I
Like
gotta say.
light roast or dark roast?
Do you know what? It depends on the day.
I
Sometimes
think
light
that's
roast,
the
sometimes
answer
dark. Yeah.
for most of us. I think, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. How you feeling today?
Depends on how the swords are crossed.
Yeah,
I
honestly.
understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why I loved in Visions where you get the kyber crystals that react to the person and can kind of
Yes.
shift like mood rings kind of thing. Because I think we'd
It
all
was
have a red
exactly
lightsaber
that.
day once in a while. Like I think, you know, you have that kind of a day or a week or whatever that you're just by the end of it you're just feeling like, you know what, I think I could kill a room full of younglings today,
Oh,
or you know
Or
something like
on
that.
or on other days, and this will be sailing if you live in the East Coast here in the U.S. You could kill a room full of Yinglings, which is the name of a beer.
oh
There you go.
wow.
Because
Yinglings.
quite
Yinglings.
frankly, anybody who lives in Pennsylvania, Delco, Maryland, will probably understand what I'm talking about.
All right,
Gotta visit Pennsylvania now, don't I?
there we go.
Gotta get some. We'll get a care package of Yinglings together for you, and you can kill them.
Amazing.
Perfect. Well, okay, so a little bit about you, but I want to dive a little bit more into your story because you've talked on Twitter a few times, and I know we've talked
Yeah.
um, through messages about your experience being a female Star Wars fan, but also being a Muslim Star Wars
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that experience and what it's like for you. Just kind of on a daily basis. I know we've had some women on here,
Yeah.
and people from various backgrounds, but I'd love to get your experience and your what it's been like, from your angle, getting into Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say the one thing that really pulled me in about this world, this galaxy, and the fans of Star Wars was how diverse it is in terms of who consumes the media. It's
Hmm.
so phenomenal to me how like people of just array of backgrounds just love this thing so much. And I feel like in terms of the franchise, we do have a long way to go in terms of being inclusive, diverse. That's a given,
Hmm.
but that doesn't eradicate how much good it has done, because when you strip it down, to me being a female Star Wars fan, I can happily say, for me at least, that I feel represented. Yeah, I feel seen. You know, because it was a female actress and a female character who ultimately introduced me to this whole other galaxy that I've had the pleasure of exploring these last few years, and just these amazing characters that I never knew before in film, in media. You have Ahsoka Tano, you had the wonderful Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia,
Hmm.
Padme. So I think as a female, it's beautiful, I think, and I feel like it's always developing. You have a big thing with Phasma, for example, and there was, I remember Gwendolyn talking in an interview about how it really her armor is symbolism of just Star Wars really breaking through these types of stereotypes, and how she wasn't sexualized through her outfit, for example. So that was very interesting to me as well. On you know it's so diverse in terms of their roles within society. So I think I really resonated with that as a new fan in terms of
Hmm.
females.
That's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's good to. I mean, like you said, there's still a long way to go, and there's still a lot of
Mhm.
things that need to be addressed. But if you're saying that it's getting better, and you can tell that it's getting better, I think that's moving at least in a good direction.
Yeah,
Right,
I
right,
agree.
and even in so much that statement that it's very organic. It's not like, oh, you're being spoon
Hmm.
fed this diversity. It's just it comes out, and we're seeing this in all kinds of. And again, I bring everything back to Star Trek. I'm sorry, it's like, why the hell are you doing on the show, Carden? But the Star Trek show is my biggest contribution to our network, and of course, I'm a Star
Yeah.
Trek fan from age 10. Not as long as I've been a Star Wars fan, but Star Wars was always very bland. back in the day until we get it revitalized in the 90s and the 2000s, and then everything that's come in between, these stronger female characters. You're seeing alien characters, which are perhaps more representative of races outside of, like, well, here's one white guy and one white girl, and that's what we got.
Agreed.
So seeing different actors, that, and again, it's something that can be identified with people who are non-white, God forbid. But just the vitriol of people who can't accept that always blows my mind. And it's the same thing in Star Trek. When you had a show that in the 1960s had a female black cast member and had a male Asian cast member, and so on and so forth, and people were like, well, this is fine, but now there's a black woman who's burr, 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 burr. It's just you're never going to please the old crusties, by trying to move things forward
Definitely.
into a modern world. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of representation would you like to see going forward? Like you said, there's still some ways to go. Is there anything that stands out, like, that you haven't seen that you would love to see in Star Wars?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd say when it comes to Muslim representation in Star Wars, it is a much bigger issue. And
Mm.
I've always been very outspoken about this topic, in terms of the representation we already have in Star Wars that represents, people of Islamic faith. Um, and we just need to, in general, just look at the industry that we're in, we want to. I do want to talk about specifically Riz Ahmed, who we all know plays Bodhi in Rogue One,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who is, our first, Muslim portrayer of characters or whatever, and I feel like even then, there's so much that came, there's so much weight. I remember him saying that he was actually going to a Star Wars Comic Con or something, where he actually got stopped in the airport because, they thought he was a bit shifty, which wasn't so great,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it just isn't. It's layers of things. It's not just a representation in the media. It's in general. It's everywhere. The bottom line is we're underrepresented. And stereotyped. And this is an actual, a stat that 1.1 of the characters portrayed in movies, where they actually did a project on this. 1.1 of them were Muslim, which is insane because we are like a quarter of the world's population. So I
Of the
do feel
right.
that's insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
Global entertainment requires global representation, because that's
exactly.
something that Todd, who is my co-host, who helped started this network, Todd is always talking about, the box office in China. The box office in China is so big, and these things are big in China, and that things are big in China, and again, it just becomes to be more of a factor. But again, it's right. You'll see it in movies of all kinds, representation, including more things that will be appealing to an international audience, normalizes over time, because it should be normalized over time, because
Hmm.
again, we are all, again, back to Star Trek, a very human family, you know what I mean? So we
Yeah,
should have that kind of representation, and you should be able to love Bodhi Rook, Riz Ahmed, as a noble rebel hero, and
yeah.
just and see it regardless of, the color of his skin. And
Mm-hmm.
another one of the characters was, of Asian descent, and this and that. And again, it's from a galaxy far, far away, but much like with Battlestar Galactica, which I keep needling Mark about. Mark, you got to watch this. It was a precursor of humanity, which I've always felt that maybe Star Wars and maybe Battlestar Galactica, maybe it's the same universe and they just haven't run into each other, because
Mm-hmm.
all the characters are inherently human. They speak English, and they
Exactly.
have the same basically different skin colors, that I say, or I wouldn't call them races, because they're not identified that way, but
Yeah.
they essentially have the same shading. It's different. You have people who have more olive skin, yellow skin, dark black brown skin. So we're all a humanity family of man going out to the stars. So
Mm-hmm.
embrace it, because it's not going anywhere. It's just going to get bigger and better. In this case, it's going to be a better
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think you said it perfectly in the sense that at the end of the day, we're all just humans. We shouldn't
Right.
really be portrayed a certain way. For example, we shouldn't be portrayed as, perpetrators of violence, for example, because of what's happened in the real world, you
Right.
know. And I feel like for example, there is a lot of controversy around Barriss, the character of Barriss in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, she's a Muslim coded Jedi, or character, sorry, and she obviously, at the end, we know what happens. She frames Ahsoka, labeled a terrorist. So I think things like that really have an effect on the people who are watching, And we also need to recognize how heavily influenced Star Wars is by, Arab and Islamic culture.
Mm-hmm.
From the garments of the Jedi, the ways of life, to even the planets, like for example, Jeddah, Arabic
Mm-hmm.
city, Saudi Arabia,
Mm-hmm.
you have headscarves in Star Wars, Padme's, you have Jedi robes, you have Mustafar, which is literally, the
Mm-hmm.
prophet was called Mustafar because he was the chosen one. So
You
I
know,
love
I'm
the
I,
yeah.
I'm getting off this show and I'm turning Rogue One on as soon as I'm done
Honestly,
here.
yeah, I'm
You've
getting a lot
just
of
kind you've just kind of fired me up because it's funny. My wife is taking a class right now for the next 6 months, 4 hours a night, 3 nights a week. So I'm not going to see her until bedtime. So that gives me time to watch Rogue One, and that's what I'm going to do.
yeah.
Perfect.
Or you can join us for our Star Wars saga rewatch.
Yeah, there you go. Good
Yeah.
time
I
to plug
I
that.
I think we can make that. You know what? It's not like I wouldn't watch it a second, third, fourth, 57th time watching that and all of the movies since I was 4 years old.
And you'll
I can
still love it.
I can
Absolutely.
take it. Yes, absolutely.
So, do you think it's starting to slightly get better? We see Kamala from the MCU jumping over to a different Disney property for a second. She's getting her own show, and she's going to be in the next Captain Marvel movie. Strong Muslim character. Seems to be pretty well loved by the fan base.
Wonderful,
The the
wonderful
uh, the
book.
video
I've
game
enjoyed it.
last year was based pretty much
Hmm.
solely around her bringing the Avengers back together.
Hmm.
Are you excited for projects like that at all, and do you think they'll kind of hopefully people see that and then be more open to things in Star Wars or other franchises?
Definitely. I think the hope is that it gets the ball rolling, in the right direction. We have so many, talented actors and actresses, that are not even just Muslim, maybe South Asian. I myself am, British Pakistani Muslim. So Kamala Khan is literally, my cup of tea right there. She's Pakistani American, 16-year-old. When I was 16-year-old, I would have loved to seen someone like that being portrayed, in media and mainstream media. So I'm just glad younger teens, specifically Muslim teens, have someone to look at and think, wow, that's me. I'm being represented. She's just like my sister. She's just like my
Mhm.
mother, etc.,
Right.
etc.
And
So
she's
yeah,
an enormously popular character for that exact reason. If
yes,
you give people a hero or a character at all that they can look at them, like great example, I, I was 4 years old and had blonde hair and blue eyes. So who was my favorite Star Wars character? Luke Skywalker, because
exactly.
he
Yeah,
because he looked like me. It's the
yeah.
exact same thing, And I'm not saying there aren't other people out there, Or my brother had, blue hair and had blue hair. He had blue eyes and brown hair, so he loved Han Solo. So and I'm sure there was some really hairy Italian kid out there who loved Chewbacca. I don't know.
Exactly.
That's
That's
racist. I
all that
apologize.
matters.
That's right. We just finished watching The Sopranos. I know that's
uh,
very prejudicial to the Italian Americans. So I
love.
apologize.
Oh man, we're talking about representation with people of all. You just compared Italians to Wookiees. This is
The
I think
gaining.
Italians are asleep. They're asleep.
I think I'm in trouble. I think I'm in trouble. We'll see. We'll see if we get some hate tweets. It'll all
Oh
be on
god.
me.
There we go. I'm
Whew.
sure that's well. You already mentioned it, so I think this might be a good time to explain to everyone what you're doing with the rewatch project. So you've got Okairo, who's been on the show a couple of times and really kind of defined what Holocron Chronicles turned into. So we
Hmm.
always love anytime we can mention him or bring him back, really. And I'm sure he'll be back before too long. Robbie, Chloe, you. Did I miss anyone there? It's mainly the
Daniel.
four of you.
Yes.
Sure.
Senator
Yes.
Amidala. Daniel. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, explain this project a little. What you guys are doing.
Honestly, I could just talk about the four of those amazing people. Like, just go off
And
on a tangent.
we've had two of them on the show. I think Robbie is
They're
coming up, isn't
lovely.
he?
They're
Robbie's
lovely.
Isn't he,
Robbie's
Mark?
lined up to come on. Yep.
Yeah,
Robbie is
exactly.
very excited. I just not to go off on a tangent, but he was just messaging me. He was like, "Oh, I heard about this. Did you have a part to play?" I was like, "No." What? Get out of
Oh,
here.
oh, we're turning into a cottage industry overseas. This is crazy.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I'm very excited to have Robbie on for sure, and
Yeah.
I'd be happy to get the rest of them on too. So if anyone's listening, open invitation, DM
Yes,
me.
please.
Please. Yeah.
Always.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I think it was just a thing where we, the four or five of us, we sat down and just we realized we have so much in common, and the one thing was that we wanted to watch Star Wars together, but we wanted to enjoy it with everyone on Twitter, on Discord, or whatever it is. And they have such huge followings. They're hitting 9K, 10K, and we realized that you really have an influence on Twitter, and to just do a good thing, because we know how divisive Twitter is. We don't really need to explain that much. There's you know things when it comes to opinions, or certain things you don't like, or is in your canon, whatever. And we just thought, why not just get everyone together just to watch the movie? We can't really watch it in theaters or cinemas because COVID, time zones, the fact that we're on Twitter and not with each other in real life. So I think just getting everyone together in a Discord and just watching the movie would be amazing. And that's exactly what it is, the Star Wars Saga rewatch. And we started with The Phantom Menace, and now we are approaching our fourth film, which
Mm-hmm.
is actually a special edition because we decided to add in Rogue One due to popular demand, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
been a success. It's been
Oh
it's
yeah.
been such a pleasure watching the movies with other Star Wars fans, and just like
Mhm.
getting all the memes out there. Yeah,
It's a great Discord channel to go in as well.
it is. It is.
I'm part of it, even though I haven't been able to coordinate times to actually fully join a rewatch. I did jump
Yeah.
into to one of the voice chats, but I
Hmm.
haven't been able to do like start to finish. 3, 2, 1, let's start her up.
Yeah.
But it's such a fun project, and I love that you guys are doing it, and that it's
Thank
got
you.
such success that,
Yeah.
like I said, the Discords kind of pop in and people are excited about it. People want to extend it further than you guys planned and watch
Yeah.
all of the movies rather than just like the 9 core movies or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and you've kind of um, influenced something that Charlie and I will do, and that's kind of how we're getting
I
Robbie
can't
on.
wait
So
for
we
that.
won't
Right.
spoil
Right.
that yet, but I did also want to touch on when we were talking, we were leading up to this, you mentioned kind of taking your foot off the gas a little bit. There hasn't been too much
Yeah.
to get you excited other than the rewatch project, which kind of comes and goes. There's no real new projects. Bad Batch is over. We're all waiting for Book of Boba Fett. And you mentioned taking your foot off the gas, and I thought like that's kind of a good topic to touch on because we
Yeah.
come back to this every 2 weeks, and this helps me stay excited. Doing this
Yeah.
podcast. Um, so what do you think? How do you feel about taking your foot off the gas? I think it can kind of be a good thing, but like how did you feel about it? Like when you were, and are you starting to come back now that we're seeing some news? The rewatch project's back on. Like you're starting this new editing, this new edit
Hmm.
account, and all that kind of stuff. Like, are you feeling yourself stepping back in? But first off, I guess yeah. Like, how did you feel taking a break?
I think it's it's honestly it's a very balanced thing, in the sense that, well, Star Wars is actually a huge part of my everyday life, because if I'm not watching it, I'm talking about it, right? That's my life now, guys,
Nice.
honestly. Yeah,
That
but
that 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 gets a Ben Solo.
oh yeah, I like that. You
There you
nailed the
go.
pose, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Practice.
Watching the movie like 500 times, you finally nail it.
Yes.
But yeah, I
Yes, it
mean, I feel
doesn't.
like my honeymoon period with Star Wars Twitter was kind of over, in the sense that it was a whole, like, I watched the movies, I immediately went on to you know social media to talk about it, and it was quite a sensory overload, in the
Mm,
sense that I was talking about it 24/7. I was gaining followers, I was just like talking to as many people, and I eventually got up to like 4,000 followers, whatever it was, just talking and talking and talking. And eventually I was just like tired, and I thought, let me just
mm,
let me sit in the back seat for a bit, and just really enjoy it, because I do think social media can get very overwhelming in terms of, um, let's just say, putting it nicely, getting into debates over Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need to sit back, just
mm.
realize and think about why you love the movies, and just
Right.
doing really cool projects like the Star Wars Saga rewatch, and just, yeah. I like where Star Wars is at right now. It's not too much. We don't have crazy amount of movies coming out, but we have a lot to look forward to, which is great.
Absolutely.
That's I agree with that perspective. I have, and I've said this certainly on over on Secret Friends, our Papa show, is that my fandom tends to exist in kind of a triangle. I'm a
Hmm.
comic book guy, Marvel comic guy, going back to my first Star Wars comic when I was 6 years old. It was Star Wars number 60, the original Marvel run. And years later, I discovered Spider-Man, and I've never stopped reading comics. Star Trek is the big papa. I mean, it inspired me doing the show. I've seen every episode dozens of times, the movies even more dozens of times. I am somebody who I feel like I could stand with Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, at the pearly gates and duke it out. I feel like I'm that knowledgeable. And then I bop on over to Star Wars, and I tend to go and then other little things fit in there. You know, Battlestar Galactica, I love. You know, other little shows here and there. But I tend to shift. And in some ways, it's almost seasonal. For a long time, the end of the year was Star Wars for me, because that's when those movies were coming out. And it was what I was all about. I was, flashing my rebel symbol everywhere, and I was, doing that. But it's funny because now doing a podcast, I'm on Secret Friends, which is our general pop culture podcast. I do that with Todd every week. I'm on this show with Mark every other week, and then I do Code 47, the Star Trek show, with arguably a rotating cast of people. We're in a little bit of a state of flux, but it's funny because I'm always touching everything constantly now. And so my triangle is kind of dissolving. But again, it's not like I got to have a Star Wars movie on because I'm talking about Star Wars this week. It's like it's always in my brain floating. And so it's like Mark and I are very stream of consciousness. It's not like we script this out. It's not a flow document, but we're not like, I got to say this thing or that thing. It's just kind of say what comes to my mind, and you say this, and I'm going to come back and say, well, for myself, I feel XYZ. For me, my triangle has kind of been crushed into a pile of dust, and it's all quantum leapy. It's all stuck together in different spots. There's another reference for you. If you never watched that show, please do. Quantum Leap, Scott Bakula, wonderful program.
Putting that on my list as we speak.
Please do. No, great timeless program that has aged incredibly well. I really like it. So anyway, so I feel you there. But anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I also find with social media specifically can make or break fandoms, whether if it's too toxic or on the other side of things, even if it is really nice. But I find you can kind of get caught up in that social media trapping of like, you see someone with 4,000 followers and you have X amount of followers. And it's like, okay, well, how do I get up to there? And then it just becomes almost a job to keep doing that and to keep climbing that ladder. And it you kind of burn yourself out on the fandom and the content and everything else, and it just becomes this rat race, and you hit a certain point, and then it's like this point of diminishing returns, maybe, that you're just kind of like, oh, well, why did I do that? And maybe I should step back. So not saying that you should, and you're like seconds away from hitting 1,700 followers, I think, on your ReySkyGoat account. So congrats. It's awesome.
We're rebuilding.
Rebuilding.
The rebuild after your account got taken down is
sadly.
I think we'd be excited to have a tenth of that over on the Secret Friends Twitter, but we are working on it.
You guys will
and actually, I have to thank you for giving me the retweet. I'm inching towards that 600 number, so we're slow and steady. We'll
happy to.
We'll get there. All in good time.
So like we said, there are some things that may be getting you to put your foot back on the gas and get excited again. We've got the rewatch project. We've got some exciting news. So did any of this kind of like spark your interest? We'll start off with, I think, the big one. And I'm going to guess, based on your favorite characters, that this one got you a little excited. Hayden Christensen back for the Ahsoka series. Holy crap. What were your first thoughts on this one, Peanut?
Do you know what my first thought was? God, I wish I was going to the Comic-Con in Birmingham.
Oh, yes.
Honestly, I really
so
thought
many
that.
pictures and stuff. Yeah, amazing.
I was jealous.
He is going to be at a show in Chicago, in Chicago, Illinois, which is about 3 hours from where I live, in December, early December. And I'm joining Todd and John, who I had previously mentioned. It's the first time that the three of us, college roommates, have been in the same place at the same time in over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Hayden Christensen is a guest at that show. So I am sure that I may glimpse him if I hold my phone up and zoom it in real quick. Yeah, the lines of the show like that are like a football field, an American football field long.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you got about no chance of physically seeing him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he will be there.
You'll feel his presence.
I
Yes.
will. Yes,
He's strong with the Force.
I get and yeah, for better or for worse, let's just say.
So
Yeah.
how do you guys think this is going to work? Do you think it's going to be pure flashbacks, or you think we're going to see a young Anakin Force ghost kind of reconciling things with Ahsoka? How do you want this to go?
We actually tackled this on SFU, which we recorded yesterday. That'll be out Friday. This comes out Wednesday. So plug in the network. But I think it could be an equal chance of maybe it's a Force Ghost that's tagging along with her, a la Obi-Wan and Luke. That could totally make sense. I mean, I would think that if they're moving her forward from when we saw her largely in The Mandalorian, she's continuing her search for Thrawn. So she's out to the unknown regions. Maybe eventually that's going to get us to see a live-action Ezra Bridger. But could certainly be some flashbacks, but there's not going to be any. I just don't see how there would be anything black-clad Vader related that you would really care about, because that could be me. I mean, Hayden Christensen and I are about the same height, so you know, put me in that suit, and it would be the same, because it's not really acting, and it's not really portrayal. So it would have to be some sort of flashback. But again, Rosario Dawson is an adult version of Ahsoka, so a flashback would have to be a teenage version of Ahsoka, so that doesn't really work.
I saw some fan casting from oh shoot, her name's escaping me. It's the girl who played Liz in
Laura. Spider-Man. I believe it's Laura.
I know the girl played. I know the girl, African American gal. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, what's
her name? That's gonna anyway. I'll move on from there. Yeah. So Peanut, what are you hoping that will? How are we going to see Hayden in this one?
Well, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of ambiguity around the show, and I think I mean, my bet is that, you know, we could even get an episode where maybe, you know, Ahsoka is in a bit of a difficult situation, or maybe she doesn't know how to go about things or how to continue on her journey, whether it's, you know, finding Thrawn, Ezra, whatever it is.
Right.
And maybe in that moment in time or in that specific episode, she needs, you know, some guidance. And the one person that appears to her is Anakin. You know, maybe it's the first time he appears as a Force ghost, whatever. I think I would really like that. Just see it in that sense. You know, I think I'd prefer that over a flashback, because I think it would be great to see, you know, their relationship post his death.
I could certainly see it either way, but to do a flashback, you would again have to recast Ahsoka as someone younger, because de-aging her sounds like it would be kind of too much trouble to deal with. Or the Force Ghost piece of it totally works, because you know that Anakin became a Force Ghost because we saw him in the special edition at the end of Return of the Jedi. So he's definitely kind of out there kicking it in the Force Ghost world. So
living it up.
I will be so interested to see kind of how this turns out, and I would imagine if this is filming now or it's being cast now, that I would put this at the outset of 2 years that we're gonna see this on broadcast.
Sadly.
So I will. You know, it is the production length is so long for this kind of stuff that we're gonna be waiting around. We're all gonna find out.
Here for the long haul.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm kind of hoping the same. I'd love to see both. Honestly, a mix of Force Ghost and maybe some flashbacks or something like that. You know, you have them, use them. The more Hayden Christensen we get there, and we know he's going to be in Obi-Wan, so it's just a kind of a Hayden Christensen resurgence. I love it. I think you know,
bringing
it
back.
The prequels got a lot of flack for a few years, and it's nice to see them getting some respect and getting some hype, and people taking it as good news when these people and actors and characters are returning. So it's great. And speaking of returning characters, this is like breaking news right before we started recording.
I broke it. It's me. I did it.
Charlie stuck this one in the flow document, and I'm excited. So Andy Serkis joining the Andor
Precious.
series.
How insane is that?
What the hell?
I know. What isn't this guy in? He's like Samuel L. Jackson in the early 2000s. What isn't this guy
He
in?
is kind of
You
getting
know what I
Yes.
mean?
yeah.
And that was, and I apologize for harkening back to that terrible, Family Guy joke. But yeah, so I mean, but Andy Serkis is in this article will go on to illustrate that he is a complete chameleon, both in the physical presence and then in the CGI presence. So he's been everything to everybody. We might look at this substantially and say, as a, you're talking prequel, you're talking just, the in between quill era, just right around, Cassian Andor's time period, which is, 3 to 5 to 0 years before A New Hope. It was basically when he was functioning. How are you going to stick Snoke in there? I would find it hard to believe that this would be Snoke related, because Snoke was a construct of Palpatine, which happened in the unknown regions post Return of the Jedi. So I'm going to put my money down that this is going to be an original character, because again, Serkis has not appeared as himself.
Agreed.
In a Star Wars production. You've seen him obviously in the MCU. He was Ulysses Klaue in that, in the Black Panther, and Age of Ultron. But yeah, my money is going to say he is going to be a physical representation of himself, or potentially CGI'd up in some fashion. But it's not going to be Snoke. I just don't really see how that's possible.
Yeah, it'd be a bit too early. Yeah, either way, he's a talent. It's a great addition to Star Wars. Great addition.
There you go.
I wonder, like they could go with a completely, like you said, he's kind of a chameleon or a chameleon.
Chameleon indeed.
He could just provide the voice and some mocap to some other aliens, characters, whatever. He's he's really good with voices, and like the person in Hollywood for mocap and that kind of stuff. So we could really see him do anything. We might not get human Andy Serkis at all. We could get CGI, crazy alien looking kind of thing. He could, be
a droid
cousin. He could be a droid.
Yeah.
He could, whatever, right? Like it's like Alan Tudyk. Like he could play anything, right?
Couldn't anybody be a droid? Let's face it. I mean, I might have already been a droid, and you don't even know about it.
Exactly.
Be a droid.
Think
right
about
now.
it. Think about
Let's
it.
take it over.
That's it. Like I just so we had Moana on for my son earlier, and then that kind of on Disney Plus, it was like watch Frozen. So we were like, let's watch the opening 15 minutes of Frozen. And Alan Tudyk does two different voices. He does the chicken in Moana, and then he does the Duke of Weaselton in Frozen. Or Westleton.
Westleton.
Yes.
You know what?
Very diverse voice actor, and he reminds me of Andy Serkis. So you could see him like just Andy Serkis' Star Wars, and it's like 15 different characters that he voices, all of them, and they all just talk to one another, and it's just him in a sound booth just talking to himself for 2 hours.
It just circles me back to a Simpsons reference, which I choose to never give up on Simpsons reference. Lunch Lady Doris, who says, "I get 2 paychecks this way."
Love that.
Because she's the school nurse, and she's serving food in the cafeteria. I get 2 paychecks this way.
Exactly. So the only other real Star Wars news that popped up, and I know Charlie's not a big Star Wars or video game fan, but he is a Star Wars Lego video game fan.
This is my wheelhouse. I'm listening. Tell me about it.
Star Wars Castaways, Apple Arcade exclusive online multiplayer. You build your own character and go through little adventures and mini games with your friends. This sounds fun. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of pumped and like.
But I gotta play it on my phone
or your iPad,
or
your
Apple TV. Or iPad. Exactly.
That's where I get stuck, because I'd like to. The only console thing I enjoy is with my PlayStation is having the controller, because I hate. Ask anybody who knows me. I hate this shit. The tiny typing drives me insane. Look at these big thumbs.
Wait a second. Does no one ever told you can hook a PS4 controller up to your phone or your iPad?
See that?
How do I do that?
Buddy, we'll fix you up. Don't worry about it. I only play iPhone, like iPad games, like this big massive screen right here is only used with controllers. I hook my Xbox controller up, and it is fantastic.
And I will revisit an expression to you from St. Clair Shores, Michigan native Dave Coulier. Cut it out.
Dave Coulier.
You don't know that one.
Legend.
I met
That
Dave
yeah.
Coulier. I met Dave Coulier in St. Clair Shores, which is where our family business was when I was 18. He came in to buy some. We had a camera shop. He came in to buy some film. So
Oh wow.
there's my brush with greatness.
All
Yes,
right.
Yeah, I went
and
through
the
a
thing is,
huge Full House phase, so I
oh
loved
my,
Who didn't
he
really?
he was
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
He was about this tall. He was a little guy, but he did the celebrity thing. He had a hat on. He hadn't shaved, and he was
The
like, I'm like, oh,
disguise.
I'm like, you're Dave Coulier, and he was like, probably like, fuck.
Damn
This
it, he caught me.
That's like
redneck
when Ben
moron
Affleck
picked
was
me
here.
out.
Someone recognized
Yeah,
him at a
right.
gas station, and he was just like,
Oh
"Are you
wow.
Batman?" And he was just like, "Ah, shit, the hat didn't work."
He was on the island, and you guys have gas?
Yeah, he was visiting the monastery on the other side of the island.
Oh, very good. That's
Monks and
awesome.
stuff there.
You
There you
gotta
go.
love celebrity sightings, honestly.
After his divorce, he needed some spiritual guidance from our monks.
Oh, good deal.
Wow.
So you're gonna get me playing this game, is what you're telling me, so I can
absolutely.
build my. How is this any different than like building my character in just like any one of the other Lego games? Just a new.
It's just
like,
kind of a new
thing
take. It
happening?
seems that there's going to be some fun mini games. They haven't released a ton of information other than it's going to be available, I think, in November.
Which is quite quick.
Very quick, yeah.
Yeah.
And Apple seems to be getting these like Star Wars Lego exclusives. They got the Battle. Shoot, what's that one was called?
Battle something.
Yeah, it's like a tower defense game or something, isn't it? I can't remember what that one's called, but it's another exclusive to Apple Arcade. So they keep getting. Maybe it's just Star Wars Battles. Hold on.
Gotcha. All right.
Yes, it is Star Wars Battles. I just opened it up on
research
my
bots. Engage.
Yeah, so it's like it's such a weird place to be for a Star Wars fan. Like you think you're going with Jedi Fallen Order or something on PlayStation, Xbox, whatever, or like, you know, Battlefront 2, that like those are the Star Wars games, but like they keep nailing these things on like Apple Arcade and like mobile devices, and it's kind of like a cool, fun place to be. So Peanut, lastly, do you play any video games, and is this one of interest to you?
Do I? God.
do I?
That's all.
That one, just because we've been trying to play Fortnite together, but I wanted to pose it as a question for, you know, more interest. But yes.
That's the whole kind of one.
Is this exciting to you?
Yeah, I think, you know, like I said, when I had like a little space in my life and I felt like something was missing. It turns out it was Star Wars, and I feel like it really ignited my love for video games, because, you know, I have a younger brother, a singular younger brother, 2 years younger than me, and he's big on, you know, your regular GTA, Modern Warfare, whatever it is, blah 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 blah. And I used to, you know, play video games with him as a kid, the Simpsons games, whatever it was. Maybe even a Star Wars game. I'm not too sure now, but yeah. So when I really got into Star Wars, I decided to get Battlefront, and my God, we were in lockdown, but I leveled up Luke Skywalker so quickly. My mother was worried. Honestly,
9 lightsabers.
My thumbs were on fire.
Fire
when you were your mom, you might that's when you need to take the foot off the gas.
Honestly,
yeah, right.
Exactly.
Don't worry, your mother.
My dark side aggression is through the roof.
Literally, honestly.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Well, that's all I think that we have to talk about, and also that we have time to talk about, because it's super late for you. So
super late. Oh my God, Peanut, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Get your butt to bed. That's the order of the senior Jedi here.
Yeah.
To bed.
Wow, I love that.
Well, before you do take off, again, tell people where they can find you on the internet and what you got coming up.
Well, firstly, before I do that, I just want to thank you guys for having me. It has been such a pleasure, such an honor. Just lovely people all around. Just, you know, this hour went by so quick. So yeah, just great hospitality, you know, and definitely got to visit Pennsylvania now. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, get to kill some Englings. I gotcha. I'll shoot you a link. We'll see if
definitely. Definitely, but yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ReySkyGoat, and also on ReySky Film on YouTube. I'm also ReySkyGoat, and I also have a separate YouTube for my Discord, which is called Peanuts High Council, which is actually on a hiatus right now, but we will look to start things up very soon again, because we did used to do podcasts. You can also find me on TikTok. You know, if you like if you like those edits on Twitter, you can also find them on TikTok at ReySkyGoat. And just, I'm always floating around. And please, if you can, come to our Star Wars Saga rewatch. It's like a big home theater with every single Star Wars fan. So yeah, thank you again.
Well, thanks so much.
Awesome.
Charlie, you can find me at _Canardian on Twitter, Instagram, I think TikTok there, even though I don't do videos on TikTok very often. Where can you find you?
I am, of course, over on the Secret Friends Unite group. I also represent the USS Grand Petoskey over on Facebook and on Twitter. And you can find me on Twitter at the C3CEE 3EE. That's where I'm at, where I'm sharing fun content. So yeah, come check me out and come check out SFI if you're a Trekker, because we'd love to have you.
All right. With that, I'll say, may the force be with you. Rex, play us out.
And I'd like to say thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking. Oops, wrong show. Trucking.
Get that Star Trek shit out of here. Rex, come on in with your DJ skills, sir. This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.